Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridge and Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about the new Democratic nominee, or the soon to be nominated Kamala Harris's potential vice presidential picks.
Yeah, so it has become clear over the past 2 days, ever since our last video, that Harris would become the new nominee. There's a little bit of uncertainty post Biden dropout. There was some Manchin rumors, but now we're pretty much locked into a Trump versus Harris race. Recent data has shown that Harris is running a little ahead of old Biden, or Biden that can't talk, against Trump. But things are looking up for her. A month ago, I told you that Trump had a whole month of good news that was coming. Basically, the Biden debate disaster, and then followed by the RNC, his VP choice, and his failed assassination attempt. Basically, all were events that were slated to help him, and they did help him, right? He's definitely risen in the polls. But now we look at Harris, and now it looks like she has a whole month ahead of things that could help her. She has her convention coming up in August. She has her potential vice presidential pick, which we're going to talk about in this video that'll give her a bump. And we have her honeymoon phase, which is now starting right now, giving Democrats a lot of energy and is their one chance to win over skeptical independent voters. And one of the ways to do that is through a good vice presidential pick. So, in our one of our videos that we did 2 weeks ago, we talked about who Trump's vice presidential pick might be, and we said that JD Vance would be a bad choice, and Trump ended up picking JD Vance. I would probably now say that he's just a not preferable. I don't think he hurt Trump as I thought he maybe would. But besides that point, we are going to talk about the Kamala Harris potential vice presidential picks. We are down to 8 people and most likely just four, but we're going to talk about all 8 potential people. Anyone else is pretty much a fantasy at this point, and we'll start with Josh Shapiro.
Yeah, so Josh Shapiro is the current governor of Pennsylvania. What makes him stand out is that he's incredibly popular in his state. I think, especially in the early days when he first was elected, his approval rating was like hitting the mid 60s, like 60%, which is incredibly high for a swing state. Also notably, he electorally overperformed every other Democrat running in 2022. He won the state by almost 15 points, which is like absolutely massive in 2022, beating Doug Mastriano, a Trump-endorsed kind of extremist who was against abortion in every case. So yeah, I think personally, I think he's a great candidate because he would do an excellent job of delivering Pennsylvania and bringing over those suburban swing state voters. But yeah, like the main thing is like Pennsylvania, especially, he's so popular in that state, and it's such a necessary state for Democrats to win. Like he's just perfect for that. Yeah, I'd put him in good choice
Exactly.
personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice. We're gonna put all our good choices into here and then choose one of the best at the end. Um, yeah, so Harris needs to win Pennsylvania. I don't think there's really any way around that. The only other way he could really go is replacing Pennsylvania with a Georgia plus Arizona, which we will talk about later. But yeah, Pennsylvania is basically a must-win for Democrats this cycle to hold on to the presidency. And Kamala Harris is very weak in terms of the Rust Belt compared to Biden. She just doesn't have that appeal that she really that Biden had. The whole Scranton Joe thing in Pennsylvania. Kamala doesn't have that, and although she might energize some more black voters, for example, in Detroit and Michigan, Pennsylvania is going to be a really hard one for her to win. Josh Shapiro could bump her up maybe 2 points there just from getting picked. I think this is a good choice. He's very strong electorally. And speaking of the Rust Belt, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, also did very well in her 2022 race. Both of these candidates faced off against weak Republicans that were seen as pretty extreme, especially on the topic of abortion. As previously mentioned, Gretchen Whitmer faced off against now irrelevant Tudor Dixon. And so I think she's also a good choice to average. I think she would do pretty good in helping Harris do the Rust Belt, but I would probably put her on average because she is also a woman. And you do have this whole double down on the female ticket thing, but I don't think that would be that great of a thing. It would energize female turnout, which is why I almost would put her in good choice. And Michigan is a very important state to win as well. However, I just don't think America is ready for the double woman ticket.
Yeah, I do agree there. Like when you're choosing a vice president, you want to like broaden your horizons. You want to make sure you reach out to new people. Harris is already going to be energizing female voters. So, I mean, doubling down on that won't necessarily help as much as trying to appeal to men who might be skeptical of a female president.
Exactly.
Um, but I will note, Whitmer is would be a great candidate for delivering the state of Michigan to the Democrats. She won by like 10 points in 2022 against another far-right Republican. And I mean, I think heck, she'd just make a great president in general. Um, but yeah, like for this particular role, I think she'd be average. And she already kind of said she didn't want the role of vice president. Um, but for the sake of this list, she'll be in the mid tier here.
Yeah, you want to talk about Bashir?
Yep. So next we have Andy Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, which is kind of weird to say because Kentucky's a deep, deep red state, but this is a guy who's won this red state three times. I believe once as attorney general and twice for the governorship. He won by 5 points most recently in 2023 against another Trump endorsed candidate. Um, the thing that's interesting about Bashir is he really appeals to rural voters and even some Republicans. Because in a state like Kentucky, you need to win a certain section of Republicans in order to win the state. The state is just that red. So this guy can bring over a broad coalition of Democratic, Independent, and Republican support. Um, and I think he would do a great job of getting just more independent voters in line behind Harris and even suburban voters. Generally, I think, and also he's just a great speaker too. So I would put him in a good choice personally. I think he'd be great.
Yep, I agree. Not much more to add there. And speaking of white men to balance the ticket, we have five more for you. So let's go on to Pete Buttigieg. I think just off the bat, he's probably one of the weakest choices on this list. I would probably put him in bad choice. And he barely escapes the absolutely not here. I think he's one of the weakest people here because he isn't an elected official from any of these swing states that Kamala has to win. And he did famously very mid in the beginning of the 2020 presidential primaries, just like Harris, where they both had to drop out and sort of just cede the race to Biden. He did do surprisingly well in Iowa, though, and his appeal is mainly to white voters. And in that area, of course, he is from South Bend, uh, in Indiana. And so, yeah, so I guess he sort of does have some appeal, but everyone else just outshines him and eclipses him here.
Yeah, the problem with Buttigieg here is that while he does appeal to like white and suburban voters, he's really untested in terms of like competitive races. The highest office he's been elected to was the South Bend mayorship in Indiana. That's not incredibly helpful when you want to win swing states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and the Sun Belt. So yeah, like for this, he's not the best.
Yeah, you want to talk about Pritzker?
Yeah, so JB Pritzker is one of the more unlikely choices, I believe personally, but also his name's been floated around, so we have him here. Um, so he's the current governor of Illinois. He didn't like do that great electorally. I think in 2022 he only won by like 12 or 13, which isn't like crazy at all. The thing about him mainly is that he's got a crap ton of money. Um, and I mean, obviously, he has STEM legislation behind him in Illinois, so he can run on that, I guess. But yeah, I guess the main thing is the money behind him and being able to contribute his really billions of dollars to a Harris campaign. But like other than that, like being from a blue state like Illinois is not going to be too helpful at winning swing voters. So I'd say bad choice.
Yeah, almost an absolutely not. I mean, I probably would put him absolutely not, but we can go bad choice. I think he would absolutely deflate Democrats, honestly. Someone from Illinois, just really not the vibe we're looking
Mm.
for in a VP. Let's go on to Roy Cooper, who won the North Carolina gubernatorial election in 2020 by, I believe, 4.5%. uh, I think, and that's a pretty healthy margin, especially when you examine the fact that that Trump won the state in 2020. And so we look at this dynamic where he outruns Biden. You know, he outran Biden, and he can definitely help Harris in the race. I don't think he would be able to flip North Carolina though for the Harris ticket. It seems a little bit out of contention right now for Democrats. They really just need to focus on the other swing states like Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I don't know. North Carolina seems a little too far for me. However, he does still have that sort of appeal to white independents, you know, and he did outrun Biden. I would just put him in average.
I mean, I I'm kind of between good choice and average here because again, he's from a state that Trump barely won in 2020. I mean, North Carolina's recently, obviously, with Trump kind of increasing the polls, has kind of come more and more off the board for Democrats. But assuming that Harris does manage to bring this back, she has a lot of momentum as of right now. If she continues that momentum, and it reflects in the polls, then maybe Cooper could be a good choice to get a reach state like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of winning, the states Dems really need to win are like for like the four core ones for me right now are Pennsylvania, Michigan, and then one more after that, either Wisconsin or Arizona. So, and he's not really from any of those states. He could help with white independence, but yeah, personally, he's in between those two for me. I'll defer to you.
Your turn on Tim Walz.
Okay, so Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. Another like kind of it's a light blue colored state, I would say. In terms of partisanship, Democrats usually winning at the presidential level. So he wouldn't help too much on that front. But again, he's a very accomplished governor, and he could run on lots of Democratic policy there because in 2022 he won by 7 and captured the state legislator. So uh, he's been basically just passing legislation rapid fire. So he has lots of stuff to run on and like kind of show like, oh, we did this great stuff for Minnesota and kind of pitch it to the nation. So he has that going for him. Again, though, like I mean, yes, he appeals to white independence, but again, he doesn't quite he's not from Michigan, uh Arizona, like those core four I mentioned. He's not from those states. He's from a traditionally blue state. And if we're worrying about Minnesota, then that's not a good sign. So I definitely think he's a little more average picks. Definitely below Cooper
Yeah, he's
or
probably like the worst one on the average list. I guess he might bleed some support into Wisconsin, etc. But eh.
you can even like I don't know, just for the sake of imagery here, you can even move Cooper above Whitmer, I would say, because I think he's slightly higher than
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just in
yeah, for
terms of,
sure.
and then I think yeah, that's about
I think that's
good.
good. All right, let's go into
Mhm.
Mark Kelly, who I think we could both agree is going to go into at
Yeah.
least the good choice tier. Just off the bat, obviously he did very well in his elections in Arizona, caused enough ticket splitting too, in his races, you know, that he's run. I think he's overall a good pick. He's obviously very solid electorally. He's been solid as senator for Democrats, very reliable vote. Also sort of has this moderate-ish appeal. Sometimes, very rarely, you know, voting out of line with Democrats, but he does have that appeal, and he's very popular in Arizona. And like we said, you know, many times throughout this video, Arizona would be a great state for Harris to pick off because it allows her to lose Wisconsin and still win the presidency. So that's a state that Harris could really use. I think, you know, a big thing here is that probably the one of the best picks is going to be someone that can help pick off one of those states because realistically, Trump is still favored in this race right now. We've talked about it. And Harris needs someone to give her a good bump in one of these swing states specifically.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Kelly's definitely a good choice. Also comes with that experience in the Senate as vice president. You know, you're going to be breaking ties in the Senate occasionally. So having him there would be nice and all the connections he's made there. Also, I mean, yeah, it helps that before he was a senator, he was an astronaut, which is gonna be, great for the kids and stuff, I guess, like, inspirational sort of candidate. The only thing I note with him is, in the event that he does become vice president, his seat would temporarily become vacant. Then the Democratic governor would likely appoint another Democratic senator. The only downside to that is there would be a special election for his seat in 2026 when there otherwise wouldn't be, which I don't know, could be a slight downside for Democrats if they don't want to worry about another swing state 2 years from now. But, I mean, that's not the primary issue right now. 2024 is the main focus.
Agreed.
Mhm.
So now it's time to pick the best choice. Why don't you go first on who you think is the best?
Oh, like my top here is probably Shapiro, to be honest. Um, I think Shapiro is the most okay of the three we have in good choice right now. Shapiro and Bashir seem the most presidential to me. Like they could potentially represent the future of the Democratic Party. Mark Kelly gives me more of he's a good choice, but gives me more of a senatorial vibe. Beyond that, Shapiro's from a key swing state. Like one Democrats essentially have to win to keep the presidency. So Pennsylvania, and it's also like the biggest electoral prize of between that and Mark Kelly's Arizona. It's 19 electoral votes, I believe. So yeah, for me, it's just Shapiro. He's a little more moderate on some issues than for my taste, but I think he'd be good. Like just overall, he's just very solid candidate, and I think he'd help us win, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, shocking stat. If you guys lose Pennsylvania, if the Democrats lose Pennsylvania, there is really no way forward besides Arizona and Georgia. So if you really look at the map and you win Wisconsin and Michigan, for example, as a Democrat, but you lose Pennsylvania, if you won Arizona and Nevada, it wouldn't be enough. So that's, I don't know. I mean, that's sort of damning for you. It's really difficult. Just really, really, really difficult. You can also win Nevada and Georgia, but I just don't think that's as likely, of
Yeah.
course. So yeah, you really
Mm.
would have to pick off Arizona plus Georgia, which is really difficult. I mean, yeah, if you pick Mark Kelly, Arizona comes closer, and then maybe Harris is more appealing. Georgia, like we saw with that one poll today with with that one poll in Georgia. But it's just difficult to see. I think Pennsylvania is a must win. Shapiro has that independent appeal and that moderate appeal. Harris is seen as a little more to the left of Biden. So you do want to balance that as well. Appeal to more independents, as many as you can. Lock down Pennsylvania. It's going to be very difficult to do that, but Shapiro, if you just send him all over in Pennsylvania, I think you would at least make that stay into a toss up where right now it's not. And you send him all over the Rust Belt over and over and over, just like Trump's probably about to send Vance all over the Rust Belt over and over and over. And that's going to give you a shot. So think Trump is obviously favored right now, but Harris would do best with Shapiro. And you can look at the vice presidential betting
Yeah.
odds. Kelly is favored, which personally I don't know why, but Kelly's favored by a lot actually right now, almost nearing 50 cents. Um, yeah, so I don't know about the poly market one. The poly market one also is Kelly up big
Mm.
amounts. Don't really know why. I feel like the other three are very undervalued, especially
Yeah.
Bashir. He's very low. But yeah, we'll continue to see. Maybe I just don't know about some information. Obviously,
Mhm.
he's shot up today, but we both don't know, so that's pretty tough to see. Anyways, any more to say or wrapping up the video?
No, I mean, yeah, we could wrap it up. I think our list is very solid. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah,
Exactly.
I guess we'll see.
We shall see. So thank you so much for watching this video. Like this video, subscribe, ring the bell, comment down below who you think she's gonna pick. Not necessarily who's the best, but comment down below who you think Kamala is gonna pick for vice president and share this video with your friends and family. Thank you.
See you guys.